Hello and welcome to Northside Speaks. I'm your host, Lori Salazar, and today we're joined by Northside Superintendent Dr. Brian Woods. Welcome, Dr. Woods.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. So today we're talking about grit, which in a nutshell, it's defined by perseverance and passion for a long-term goal. Now, this is something you've been talking about since the start of the school year.
Right.
Why is that?
You know, as I think about what we provide to our students that'll last them a long time, long after they've graduated our schools and moved on out into the world, I really think about how do we add value to our students beyond what's in the essential knowledge and skills. And obviously, we're going to teach those things that are in the essential knowledge and skills. But I think a lot of us that have long ago finished high school and for that matter college realized that there were things that we learned along the way that we didn't necessarily use, but probably they helped to teach us a larger lesson about hard work or perseverance or long-term goals and trying to set and meet long-term goals. So I look at a lot of research, and part of what I read is about this notion of grit. And there's some folks around the nation who do research in this area, and they talk about the correlation between grit and success as measured in adults in all kinds of ways, all kinds of metrics. I think it's something that teachers now, because there's so much in the way of standards that they have to teach, don't have as much time or energy left to worry about or to think about grit. And so it just seems to me like this is something we need to kind of bring back to our consciousness, to the front of our mind, to really think about and talk about, because I think, and research indicates that it really does add value once our students have left us.
Now, would you say a person is born with this trait or it can be taught?
The research is really clear on this topic, and in education that doesn't happen all that often. But on this topic, the research is really clear, and that is that grit or long-term perseverance or meeting long-term goals is absolutely a learned skill, that students absolutely can pick that up, and that's exciting, I think, for educators, because it says that we can teach that. That's something we can provide to our students. Going back to that notion of adding value, what a tremendous thing to be able to do, to take somebody who really, because of their situation before they came to school, doesn't necessarily have a long-term view of what's important to them. If we can provide that in the time that they're with us, what a tremendous thing we'll have added to them, to their skill set when they leave us and go on to whatever they choose to go on to after they graduate.
Would you say that this also helps improve possibly their self-esteem, their motivation?
I definitely think that those things are tied together. And again, I hook back to the research that says that those things are probably all work together well. And yet, motivation and self-esteem don't seem to necessarily be things that are easily taught, whereas grit or perseverance is clearly can be taught. And so, and adds so much value to people of any age. And so, again, I think that's really exciting. I think that, you know, there are so few things that we can actually point to and say that's something we can teach that is a lifetime benefit to our children. I mean, that's pretty powerful.
It sure is. So once again, it seems like our fourth largest school district is always looking ahead to improve the quality of education with our students here.
And that's really, you know, that ought to be a hallmark, you know, of ours, is always looking at how do we add value, how do we continually improve, how do we make sure that the students that leave us had the very finest education possible, not just in what the state says you have to teach. Obviously, that's one of the ways we measure ourselves. But in all of these other things, sometimes you hear them called soft skills that employers are looking for. Those things we need to be looking at as well, and look for what can we teach effectively and then try to do it at a really high level.
Okay. Well, Dr. Woods, I think that about wraps it up. Anything else you want to share on grit?
I think it's such a powerful topic that teachers can talk to children about, they can talk to parents about, and there are very clear ways that it can be taught. And those are things that we'll discuss more as the year goes along, is exactly how do we teach those things. And I think that what people will find is it's not that difficult, and it can be done simultaneous to teaching content.
Okay. Dr. Woods, thank you so much for being a guest here on Northside Speaks. And thank you for watching another edition of Northside Speaks. We'll see you next time.